Kion left the Pride Lands with more than just a scar. He left with a storm inside him. Ushari's venom had changed him. He felt anger, more impatient, and the roar was harder to control. So, on Rafiki's advice, he set out for the Tree of Life to heal. But Kion wasn't just going to find peace. He was about to uncover a secret that would change everything. When Kion and the Lion Guard finally reached the Tree of Life, they were exhausted, bruised, and hopeful, but their welcome was a little rough. A rock slide, thanks to a very excited Bunga, made the Night Pride nervous. The tree's protectors stepped in fast. Among them was Ronnie, the fierce young lioness that Kion would one day fall in love with. But it wasn't Ronnie who caught Kion's eye. It was the lion standing beside her with golden fur, a calm stare, and a strong posture. He looked familiar. Too familiar. The Night Pride didn't trust outsiders easily, but the golden lion stepped forward, curious. He stared at the mark on Kion's shoulder, the symbol of the Lion Guard. "You're from the Pride Lands," he said. Kion nodded. "Yeah, I am." The stranger paused, his voice softer now. "So am I." Silence. You could hear a leaf fall. That's when the lion said his name. "I'm Kopa." Kion blinked. That name didn't mean anything to him, but what Kopa said next would change everything. "My parents are Simba and Nala." Kion's heart froze. That couldn't be true. His parents had never said a word about another cub. Kion had always believed it was just him and Kiara. But Kopa continued. He explained how he used to play in the Outlands with Vitani. One day Zira turned on him, attacked him, left him for dead. He never made it home, never saw his parents again. He wandered for days, barely surviving until a traveler helped him reach the Tree of Life. Queen Jana welcomed him. He stayed, he healed, but he never forgot where he came from. Kion's paws felt shaky beneath him. How could this be real? Why hadn't anyone ever told him? That night, Kion sat under the stars, thinking hard. His whole life, he thought he was the only son, the Lion Guard leader, the one meant to carry the roar. But now there was Kopa, a lion who should have been king, a lion who had suffered in silence. And suddenly, Kion wasn't just the scarred prince anymore, he was the second son. But Kopa didn't treat him like a rival. Instead, the next morning, Kopa walked over and sat beside him. "I've waited my whole life to meet someone who understood," he said. And in that quiet moment, something clicked between them, not just as lions, but as brothers. As Kion began his healing under Namala's care, Kopa stuck around. The two trained together, walked together, talked about the Pride Lands, their memories, and their pain. Kion learned how much strength Kopa had, even without a roar. And Kopa, he saw how hard Kion worked to control his power, how deeply he cared. They weren't the same, but they had the same fire in their hearts. For the first time in a long while, Kion didn't feel alone. He had someone who understood what it meant to carry pain and protect others. Just when life at the Tree of Life started to feel peaceful, danger returned. Jasiri and Janja arrived with urgent news. Zira was back, and this time, she had an army. Kion felt that old fire rise again. But now, he wasn't going to face it alone. Kopa stood beside him. "I need to go back," Kion said. "The Pride Lands needs us." Kopa looked toward the horizon. "Then let's go home." The journey back wasn't easy, but it felt different this time. Kion was stronger, not just in body but in heart. The venom no longer controlled him, his roar no longer ruled him, and walking beside him wasn't just his lion guard, it was Kopa, his long-lost brother. They raced across savannas, crossed rivers, and followed Azad's secret cheetah paths to move faster. The Tree of Life slowly disappeared behind them. The Pride Lands were just ahead. But neither of them knew how their return would be received. Would Simba welcome a son he thought was gone? Would the Pride Lands even believe it? When they reached Pride Rock, Kiara spotted them first. She rushed forward to hug Kion, but then paused, staring at the lion beside him. "Kopa?" she whispered, almost afraid to say it out loud. Kopa smiled gently. "Hi, Kiara." Within moments, the entire pride gathered. Simba and Nala stepped forward, their eyes wide with disbelief. Simba took one shaky step. "It can't be." But Kopa lowered his head and said, "I'm home." And just like that, the years of pain melted away. Nala ran to her son, tears falling. Simba joined, wrapping both Kopa and Kion in a deep silent hug. It was the kind of moment that made even the toughest warriors cry. But celebration would have to wait. Zira had gathered lions who still followed Scar's twisted dream. They were preparing for war, and they were close. Kion stood tall. "We protect the Pride Lands, just like we always have." Vitani stepped forward too with her new lion guard behind her. "We're ready." Then Copa stepped up beside her. "So am I." Kion gave a proud nod. "Let's show them what real unity looks like." The battle came quickly. Claws clashed, roars echoed, but this time, it wasn't just about strength. It was about healing, about proving that forgiveness could be more powerful than hatred. Kion used his roar, not as a weapon but as a shield. He created walls of wind to block the attackers and sent waves of sound to scatter the enemy without destroying them. Copa fought bravely, protecting Vitani, guiding younger lions, and never letting fear take over. And together, they led the charge. And they won. After the battle, the Pride Lands breathed again. Peace had returned. And Kion, he looked around at the lions, the land, and his family. He felt something shift inside of him. "I don't need the roar here anymore," he said quietly. Vitani looked up, "Then let me carry it." Kion smiled and passed the roar to her, not out of duty but out of trust. In that moment, Ascari's voice echoed once more in his mind. Only the lion who can let go of the roar is truly ready to lead. Kion was ready. Not to rule the Pride Lands, but to return to the Tree of Life, where a new kind of leadership was waiting. Before leaving, Simba asked Copa if he wanted to stay. "The throne is still yours if you want it." But Copa shook his head. "This place already has its leaders, Kiara, Kovu, and Vitani." He looked at the sunrise over Pride Rock. "I think my place is in protecting, not ruling." Vitani smirked. "Then what do you say, Copa? Want to join my lion guard?" Copa laughed. "I thought you'd never ask." And just like that, a new chapter began. Not as king, but as guardian. Not forgotten, not broken, just Copa. Back at the Tree of Life, Ronnie waited at the cliff edge, eyes searching the horizon. And when she saw Kion return, with pride in his posture and peace in his heart, she ran to meet him. "You're back," she whispered. "I found my brother," Kion replied, smiling. "And I found myself." Later that week, Bikini stood before the animals of the Tree of Life and announced what they had all hoped for. By Queen Ronnie's side, your new king, Kion. Cheers echoed through the canyon, but Kion's eyes weren't on the crowd. They were on Ronnie. Because, in the end, the roar hadn't healed him. Love did. Family did. A brother he never knew. A journey he never planned. And a future he was finally ready for. What do you think would have happened if Kion and Copa had grown up side by side in the Pride Lands? Let us know in the comments. And until next time, Hakuna Matata.